So there's a homewrecker in the White House, but not in the way that you would think. Mythos is a cyber weapon of unparalleled proportions from the AI lab Anthropic. It can break into any system, find vulnerabilities. It's like a laser vision supervillain straight out of a Marvel movie. The model is shattering the administration's historically vehemently anti-regulation approach to AI. It's also putting the White House on the opposite side of the Pentagon because the White House is collaborating with Anthropic, whereas the Pentagon has banned Anthropic, and it's all only about to get more complicated. So strap in. Last month, JD Vance called up the CEOs of every major AI company: Altman, Amode, Musk, Pichai, Nadella, the absolute code red task force, and said, we all need to work together on this. Vance told the call what many of them already know, which is that the model is basically so powerful that it's capable of taking down all of the country's small banks, hospitals, water treatment plants. Anything and everything that relies on any amount of code or data is vulnerable to a model like Mythos. This is the same administration that spent 2 years saying no AI regulation, and it's now writing an executive order to regulate AI. But before I get too far, this is the latest in a long line of updates in case you missed it and are actually going outside. Back in March, the Pentagon kicked Anthropic out of their systems, called them a national security risk after they questioned Pentagon's ability to use their AI for autonomous weapons, etc. In April, Anthropic released Mythos, and the White House invited them back in pretty quickly to talk about it. A Discord group guessed the URL of the Mythos model and got in on day one, and they've been playing around with it to create landing pages. Let the record show that Discord went down today, so we can just chalk that up to Mythos' revenge. Now the Pentagon signed 7 AI companies and left Anthropic out of the mix, even though its employees are asking to have Anthropic back because it's presumably just better. And now, according to a recent Wall Street Journal breakdown, the vice president is so spooked by what Mythos can do that the White House is considering a formal oversight process for advanced AI models before they get released. Which begs the question, what the hell did JD see? Because he's freaking out. The biggest threat that the technology poses isn't towards the elite companies of Silicon Valley, but towards everything and everyone else. The 99% of systems that aren't building their own cyber weapons. Mythos can find every crack in every system, and most of these systems don't have a cybersecurity team. They have one IT guy who's somebody's nephew. The White House response has been nothing short of chaotic. They tapped the National Cyber Director, Sean Cairncross, to lead the Mythos response. Poor guy. Kind of reminds me of in those monster movies when they send the guy into the lab. He usually comes out without a head or something. Sorry, that's not this. They asked Anthropic to stop expanding access to more organizations. Kevin Hassett, who is the head of the National Economic Council, he went on Fox Business and he compared the oversight that the White House is considering to the way that the FDA approves drugs. It's a matter of safety. What's implicit in that comparison, though, is it's also an existential threat. Injecting unregulated chemicals into your body is like injecting unregulated technology into your society at this point. You don't know what you're getting until it's too late. If that kind of regulation were to be installed before a powerful AI model gets released, it might need to get through a review process, the same way that a drug does before it goes in the market. That would slow down the characteristically super rapid speed of the AI world by a ton. That comparison set off a firestorm, but then Hassett went further and he said this wouldn't just apply to Anthropic. His words were that Mythos is the first of them, but it's incumbent on us to build a system. And that's really pretty much what we're working almost full time on right now. This isn't just a one-time response to one model. This is now a permanent review process, a whole new approach to regulation of every frontier AI model going forward. The administration that said no regulation is now working full time on a regulatory framework. And I'm not going to share all my conspiracy theories here, but if you have something to hide, you don't want a model with super laser vision. Then it gets messier. So for context, the Pentagon kicked Anthropic out back in March. It ordered every federal agency to stop using its technology. Now, the White House is drafting guidance that would let agencies bypass that ban and use Anthropic's tools, including Mythos anyway. The Pentagon and the White House are like two parents that disagree about whether their child should be grounded. They're on opposite sides of the same company. Because it turned out that the model they kicked out is the one model they need. David Sachs, who's Trump's own AI advisor, he's a venture capitalist who's been leading the whole no regulation push. He said on a podcast recently that people are treating Mythos like some existential threat. He doesn't think it is. So the administration is fighting with itself on every front. Ironically, this is the same administration that dismantled Biden's AI safety executive order. It said regulation would kill the industry, so the pendulum swings. The administration figured out the purpose of regulation in real time. The strategy has been let the companies innovate, get out of the way, beat China, yay. Vance told the CEOs we all need to work together on this, but nobody in the administration actually agrees on what that means. Hassett wants FDA-style testing, Sachs says none of it's a big deal, the Pentagon wants Anthropic banned, the White House is trying to unban them. Working together sounds good, but like any group project, no one really knows where to start. But let's be honest about something, right? Mythos is not a natural disaster that showed up uninvited. Anthropic built it, they trained a model that could find these vulnerabilities in any software on any system. They chose to release it to about 40 organizations. The White House is reacting to Mythos like it's an earthquake, but it's a product made by a company making money. Mythos is a testament to Anthropic's lead in a super competitive AI industry, and they're not going to shelve the thing right before an IPO. Anthropic's argument on this is if we can build this, so can China, so can Russia, so can a lab with no safety standards. So it's better for Mythos to exist under controlled access in American hands than for the Chinese version to show up with no guardrails at all. They're not wrong. OpenAI already built something similar. Apparently, GPT 5.5 Cyber has what the journal called capabilities similar to those shown by Mythos. The US and China are opening talks about AI risks ahead of a summit next week. When the technology is powerful enough to attack any country's infrastructure, it stops being a company problem. It becomes a sovereignty problem. The technology becomes more powerful than the government, and that is what Vance is so scared of.